Well, good morning again, and welcome to yet another live demonstration of product here at the Sportfish Show. And the sun's got even more delicious. The dog's happy. We've got Nick from the store here, and as the train rumbles past at a timely point on its way to Bristol or wherever, a very wonderful fly caster and a dear friend, Steve Peterson, from Scott and Sims and just everything that's rather lovely, actually. You've got a glittering array, Steve, of new product from Scott. Scott, I'm sure you're going to do a better job than I will, but they're still handcrafted in Telrood in Colorado.
Montrose, Colorado.
Each one is almost bespoke, so these are wonderfully crafted rods. In a world of mass production, they're not. So Steve's going to take you through the various actions, what's new, the fly lines from SA,
that's right,
and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm going to hand over to Nick, and they're going to do a much better job than I am.
Cheers. There we go.
Well, good morning, everybody. Again, great to be back here again today. Wonderful weather, and back on the casting platform here on the lake at Sportfish Reading. I'm very excited about this because I get to talk about my favourite rods in the world. And as you can see, I've brought a selection of some of my favourite rods from different Scott rod ranges that are all actually in the Sportfish catalogue for this year. So there's three specific rod ranges we're going to look at. Firstly, we're going to take a deep look into the Centric rod range. The Centric is brand new for this year. We've also got the Scott Flex and the saltwater rods called the Sector. So we're going to have a good look at all of those. I thought, first of all, start with the Centric here. Perhaps we can look at the rod itself and look at some of the cosmetics. We want to concentrate on the performance of the rods, of course, but it's nice to have a look. So this is Scott's top-end freshwater performance rod. You can see, as usual with Scott, it's got nice understated cosmetics. There are some rather nice little red whippings here just to set it off, but it's a nice black blank like so. Top-end snake guides and a line stripper guide. As we come down, top quality floor grade cork. It's absolutely lovely in the hand, and you will see this is actually a 9-foot 5 weight, and we have the nice neat little full wells handle, specially shaped. I don't know if you can see this. This is something I really like, specially shaped for the hand here. Short little indentation there, a bit bigger here, just fits my hand perfectly. I'm one of those casters that does like thumb on top, so I just love this handle. Just moving back a little bit, you'll see the reel seat, absolutely lovely little reel seat, really practical but looks good. What I love about it, single up-locking nut, little touch, boom, you're in there. Just really nicely machined and really nicely made, as you would expect of a rod of this quality from Scott. Now, the Centric range replaces the really popular Radian, and the Radian range was around for 7 or 8 years. That's a very long time for a rod range these days, and the Centric has replaced it. I've had my samples for a couple of months, and I've been able to spend some time with it, with all of these rods. Of course, these are all my favourites. But what I'm going to do, rather than, as I know all about these rods, I'm going to hand over the casting side of things to Nick. Now, Nick is obviously, he's a great caster. He's a former full-time professional guide from the Seychelles, so he knows a lot more about saltwater rods and what they do than I do. He's also one of the casting instructors here at Reading, so he really knows what he's doing. And interestingly, I've had these rods here for the last couple of days, but I haven't let Nick anywhere near them. I want this to be a bit of an experiment, and you will see his first reaction to these. He has no preconceived ideas of how these rods are going to perform. So this is totally natural, no pressure, Nick.
Absolutely.
You know, but we're going to get.
Looking forward to. I've been waiting to get them in my hands all weekend.
You've seen a few other people cast them, but it's going to be interesting just to get your first reaction.
Absolutely.
So before we get into the action, I just thought very quickly I'd mention with each rod, perhaps I'll just mention a little bit about the line that I would recommend, and I've been able to try a lot of lines on these rods to get them just right. So this is the new Centric 9-foot for a 5, and I've teamed this up with an MPX taper, Scientific Anglers MPX. You can go for the amplitude, which this is, which has slight texturing to help you shoot a bit further, but any of the MPX tapers will load this just beautifully. It'll work with any 5-weight, of course it will, but I just love that MPX, just in case you were looking at a little bit of a recommendation. And reel-wise, I've teamed this up with, new for this year, the lovely new Speedster S. It's in this midnight colour. I absolutely love it. It just looks great on there. What a nice looking little outfit.
Nice looking reel and rod, that.
And obviously it balances it lovely. So we've got a lovely little outfit, nice package here. But enough of me talking about this rod. I know what this rod is like. I'm just going to hand this over to Nick and we're just going to let him go. What we'll do is maybe short range, medium range.
Sure.
We'll look at perhaps accuracy. We'll try and aim at a target, see how accurate you think the rod is. This platform's great because you can go into the wind, with the wind, across the wind. We're going to give it a proper test out.
Give it a good go, see what we can do with it.
And finish up with a nice big double haul. See where we go with it.
So
look, enough of me. I'm going to pass this rod over to you and go on the platform and we can start having a cast. I'll just make sure you're not tangled. There we go.
Okay. First of all, it's really nice and light. First thing I notice about it, I do like that grip.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. It just sits perfectly where your hand wants to hold it, with your thumb on the back there.
When Scott came out with the full wells on the 5-weight with the Radian, it was controversial. I think people are more used to it now. I think other manufacturers have done it as well, followed the lead. I find it a lovely handle.
That is lovely. Oof, it wants to go.
Yeah.
It certainly wants to go. We're fishing it at a very short range now, so sort of perfect for rivers and close in, fish that are coming right in on the banks. But yeah.
So basically you've just got your loading point there almost. We've got about 30 feet of line perhaps. So it's a 5-weight line, 5-weight rod. As we know, if we follow the AFTM guidelines, we need 30 feet of line outside the rod tip. So that's just loading it nice and close in. Obviously this is a very top end rod. It's a 9-foot for a 5. And what I would say, the 9-foot for a 5 is that rod that will do almost anything. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we want this to be anything from a chalk stream to a large reservoir you could use this on, perhaps. So we want it to be good close in as well. So it's important, rather than we try and hit the far bank all the time.
Yeah.
If Nick starts off like he's doing now with some nice short range casts and just see how it feels, how it loads.
Oh, it just feels absolutely smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is lovely. It loads very easily, though it feels a nice fast action at the same time. I don't feel like I need to put too much effort into it. It just kind of wants to go, and I think this line is also aiding that. It feels a very easy line to cast. I think it's really well matched on this rod. Having the right combination of rod and line obviously is key. You could have the best rod for you in the world and you put the wrong line on it and it just won't work properly. I find with Scott's, the SA Ranger lines is just perfectly weighted and balanced. One of the points here with this rod, now this is a performance rod, this is a fast action rod, but this rod does work at close in. You don't need a huge amount of line out to load it. The tip is sensitive. There is a lot of feel in this blank. It's not a stick, unlike some rods are. So it loads quite nice. I can feel it. The tip's got a nice bit of feel to it. Yet it does load. It is a faster rod, but it's definitely nice and soft in the tip. So you've got that nice bit of extra feeling. And I reckon that'll help as well when fighting fish. It will be a little bit more forgiving on the softer mouths. I mean, it's not going to pop out of their mouth so easily.
That is a great point. Whatever rod we're casting and using, we're talking about casting performance, but we've also got to can't forget that casting is just a means to an end. We need to play the fish on the rod. And you need some shock absorption there to play that fish, as I'm sure you know better than just about anybody, Nick. So one of the things, I don't know if the camera can pick it up. It's pretty difficult. So Nick's sort of going more mid-range here now, I would say. And if the camera could pick up the loops here, what we're really looking for a good efficient cast is a nice tight loop. The tighter the loop, the better it's going to cut through that wind. Now Nick's a very good caster, he can get a tight loop, but the rod does help with this, with a performance rod, and this rod does fire out some particularly cool looking loops there. They are always hard to pick up. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but we've got some lovely pointy, very long legged loops here. Pretty good, yeah. I think he has done this before.
I must say, I am enjoying this rod.
Good.
it feels quite accurate. It feels
Yeah.
a good accurate rod.
Yeah.
If you need to kind of put it down on wherever you want to,
Yeah.
where your fish are lying, you can see something on the edge. I feel like it's very accurate. You're not going to get big swallowing, tailing loops on it, and that because of those tight loops, you can really pinpoint where you want to go. And I think the action really helps with that.
Without getting too technical about what's going on with the rod when you're casting it, the sort of recovery of the blank here, some rods you cast and you can feel a bit of wobble in this.
Yeah.
This is recovering touch, forward, boom, boom, really helping with the line speed and those loops. And yeah, that's a great part of this rod. It's just a lovely blank. That was a fantastic loop there. Very, very nice. And although we've got a bit of a flat cam, that is actually into a bit of a breeze. You maybe can't see it, but there is a little ripple out there, and that's going into the wind there. So that's quite impressive to push that distance out. It responds nicely to a big long haul there, and out it goes. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable rod, easy to get on with.
Yeah.
It just feels so light in the hand as well.
Yeah. The balance is beautiful with
Yeah.
it. I mean, it is incredibly light. It's just a beautifully made rod. I think Scott rods, they're all designed and built in Colorado at the Scott factory, all in the same place, and they're a little bit special. You've got that nice solid hand-built feel to them that is lacking in some rods these days, but not in this one. It's a little bit special. If you wanted a rod that will do a bit of everything and you wanted something really nice, the Centric definitely is one to look at. At least come and have a cast with it here at Sportfish Reading, which is a great place where you can try it up against, you know, some of the other rods that you might want to try with it. You see, here's another nice little feature that I didn't mention. You've got your 12-inch mark. So if you're doing catch and release, you want to measure your fish nice and quickly, 12-inch from there to there. And
yeah,
also,
nice. It's nice to add it extra.
when you do incredibly well, there's your 20-inch.
There's your 20-inch.
So finish off, give us one nice big haul out there, like you can do there, Nick, and then we will move on to another rod from the Centric range. This is just the 5-weight. Oh, that's nice. I hope you're able to pick up those loops going backwards and forwards, because that is great. I love that. I love to see a good cast, and that certainly is a nice cast.
Feels really nice on the back cast too.
Yeah.
You know, we often have to turn around into certain breezes, and sometimes you've got to put that cast behind you, turn your back to the wind rather, and stick it out that side, and it just feels like it casts equally as accurately on the back. It's beautiful.
Lovely. That's nice. I mean, one of the other things about this, something I do a lot, some of the rivers I fish up in Cheshire, I'm roll casting and spey casting a lot.
Yeah.
There's a few people would say, oh, a fast performance rod isn't the best for that. I disagree. I love this. This is a lovely roll cast spey casting rod. Even though it is a fast rod, we've just done a nice snake roll there with it. So it is a great all-round rod. Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. So next, I thought we'd move along, because we could spend all day playing with that.
Absolutely.
And we probably will afterwards. This is another Centric, but I thought I'd move up. We'll get a little bit bigger now. For those of you that like to fish the larger still waters, your reservoirs, from the boat or the bank, this is the Centric 10-foot number 6. So a very different type of rod than the 9-foot for a 5, but Nick will see, I hope, the same exact characteristics. Now I've teamed this up with a slightly different Scientific Angler's line. Again, it's the amplitude, but this is the new dynamic taper. It's a weight forward 6, as you can see. And my stillwater setup, this is the Reelwise Lamson Liquid, which comes with spools. You can buy it in a pack with 3 spools in total. So it's a good stillwater option. You can have your floater, your intermediate and your sinker. So a good quality reel as well. This is, sorry, the Lamson Liquid. I'm getting mixed up. I've got that many reels set up. But it's a very entry-level reel from Lamson, very inexpensive, but a lovely little reel with a nice drag on it. So here's the 10-footer. Let's see what you think of this.
Okey-dokey.
So I'm thinking of this mostly for the UK, for a reservoir guys fishing off the bank, perhaps from here at Hayward's Farm, or off the bank at Rutland, or off the boat as well. So this is a rod that needs to go from floating line and dries and nymphs down to a high D on the bottom, with a team of snakes or whatever you're using.
Okie dokie.
Have a cast with that.
Let's have a feel of that one. Yeah, beautiful. So that's a 10 for a 6, you say?
10 foot for a 6, yeah.
Tighten that up a bit.
So again, sort of short range, see how it performs, get the head out, get our 30 odd feet out, something like that, and just get the load and the feel of it.
And you've got this orange colour changing area to assist with that.
As you can see there, yeah, just to give you a little marker.
Well, like that.
Yeah.
And typically I prefer a shorter rod, being a more aggressive saltwater style caster.
I totally
But
get
a 10
that.
foot is definitely comes in hand when throwing those longer teams of buzzers and smaller nymphs.
Yeah.
And especially if you're trying to get out, you've got a high bank potentially, that can also assist you there.
Like I say,
So-
I agree with you there. I like a 9-foot rod to cast with. When it comes to fishing, and we might have a team of flies, you need that longer rod. Not least just when it comes to netting the fish, but
Yeah.
just to control your flies. You might be sat down in the boat where you need that extra length to
gives you a
double
bit
your
of height
flies
then, yeah.
and what have you. So the 10-foot is a big bonus for that. Ideally, you want one of each, obviously, but
Yeah, that's lovely.
nice.
Pull that away. Bit slippery without the cork, but
Yeah, with
as I say,
yeah,
the handle is a beautiful shape and does sit comfortably in the hand.
yeah. And again, it's those loops that are coming off. Now I'm sure Nick gets a nice loop whatever he's casting, but the loop's the same characteristic here, nice and pointy.
There are
Really,
definitely rods that I have to work a lot harder with to get that though.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel
Yeah.
like these are kind of assisting me. They're quite easy to attain, those loops.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to cast these rods.
they are very much a performance rod, but they're quite user friendly, I find. And
I think it's very user friendly, yeah.
everybody I've had casting them has said the same. It is easy to cast, as it should be.
Yeah, this is a very, very nice piece of carbon as well. Lovely.
That's it. You can really lean into that. Obviously, you've got an extra foot here of carbon. Give this a nice big haul and launch it out there, and then we'll move on to something completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could definitely fish with one of these.
Yeah, so that's quite a sensitive tip there. You were dibbling. We've just got a bit of wool on, as we would always do for a demonstration.
Just
But
to see how that tip
Yeah.
kind of works with the rod.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that piece of wool is just looking great there. I'm surprised the trout hasn't come up and eaten it. They do love bits of wool on here.
It is bright
Totally.
and sunny today though, so they might be
Yeah,
hanging
it's
out
a bit bright
deeper.
for them to come up. That was a beautiful cast.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Bit of a breeze picking up, but it definitely still goes into it.
So now something completely different. So that was a couple of the Centrics we cast. Now we've got Scott's, another freshwater rod from Scott, but it's Scott's entry-level rod. This is the Flex. It's also in the Sportfish catalogue for this year. This is the 9-foot number 5 Flex. This would suit someone, perhaps, you know, in fly fishing these days, we've got a lot of new anglers since lockdown, a lot of guys maybe returning to the sport. Not everybody wants that fast performance rod. A lot of people prefer a slightly deeper, smoother bend. It's not a soft rod, but this is more, without giving too much away for Nick, this is more of a middle to tip rod. It's also a lot less expensive than the Centric, so it's a mid price point. And for the price, $449, this is all handmade in Colorado in the USA as well, so it's a beautiful rod. If you wanted something a little bit special, hand built, feel with it, this would be a great option at a mid price point. So again, I'm going to hand this one over to Nick. Incidentally, the reel, this is the remix reel in the Sublime colour. So the spare spools are very inexpensive if you're using this for stillwater fishing. The Sublime is a bit Marmite, you either love it or hate it, but there is a nice option in a smoke colour as well. So the remix would be a nice reel to match up with this rod. And we have another one of the Amplitude dynamic tapers on here. Or equally on this, the Mastery MPX is an excellent line to fish with. So let's see what you think of this one, Nick.
Let's have a little look
Yeah.
at that. Okey
Now this
dokey.
one has, for a 9-foot 5, a more traditional reversed half wells handle.
Okay, yeah.
So slightly different again,
Yeah.
so it tapers down into the blank. Some people prefer that. And again, once Nick gets just our 10 yards of line out there just to load it, talk a little bit about the action and how it feels.
Let's feel. Yeah, okay. It's definitely not quite as fast as the others. A little bit slower, more medium tip. Not quite. It's definitely different to the others, but it feels a very forgiving rod. I think if you've not done a lot of casting, it's going to be able to hold that line nicely up for you. There we go. Yeah, that's very nice. Still very accurate.
Traditionally, this is what we would have called a sweet action. It's smooth. It's got plenty of power in the butt. I wouldn't say this was just a beginner's rod. This is for everybody. It's got some power, stiffness in the butt, but it bends nicely from middle to tip. It's smooth. Still produces a nice fast loop. Nick is obviously a good caster and he's got a nice loop there coming from it. But even though the rod is a little bit slower, we're still getting a really nice loop from it. And
it rolls very nicely.
Yeah, when you come into the rolls and spays and snake rolls and snap tees and stuff, which are just as useful obviously with a single hander, it really excels itself. It's a lovely rod for that. There's a nice snap tee gone out there.
Yeah. Oh, don't want to get the rods.
All right. Just the wrong place to put your back cast there, yeah.
Yeah.
That was bound to happen.
Saved it.
I'm glad you did that, not me.
I saved it.
But yeah, it's nice and smooth. It's a lovely
rod. It's a
rod.
very nice, smooth rod, very easy. It's also very light, easy in the hand.
I always thought that would make, although I live up in Cheshire and don't get a chance to fish the chalk streams much, that would be a lovely chalk stream rod. Just with its action.
Yeah, I get on with that on the chalk stream. I mean,
definitely.
Doing a lot of rolls and things, I like a rod that's got a little bit more flex for rolling.
Yeah. It's again forgiving, user friendly, but a really nice option.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So now we'll move into Nick's real comfort zone, some salt rod. We're going to start here with the bit of a beast. We're going straight into a 10 weight here.
Ooh.
So this is the
Been a
Scott.
while.
Yeah. This is the Scott Sector. This was new onto the market last year. It's been a very, very popular rod across the world, a very popular saltwater rod across the world. It's got some great features and fixtures and fittings. It's a beautiful looking rod. Again with Scott, typically understated cosmetic. A nice saltwatery blue little flash here to the whippings. A really good saltwater safe reel seat. Another little feature I really like, 10. It's a 10. It lets you know it. When you go saltwater fishing, you probably have an 8, 10 and a 12 there perhaps. Yeah. You can see at a glance. Yeah. When that permit comes along or that tarpon comes along, you grab that 10. You're not picking your 8 weight up for a £100 tarpon. No. So it's a nice,
easily identifiable that, yeah.
Exactly, a nice feature. Good fighting, but obviously, as you would expect, top quality cork handle. And here is a wonderful feature. Now, we've had these recoil guides. These are the Cerakoil Scott rod guides. Not only are these recoil, but they are lined. If you watch this, and I'm going to ask Nick what he thinks about this. So you're in the boat, in the skiff, the rods are going in and out, there's rods everywhere, they're being put up the side of the skiff.
Absolutely.
What a great feature when you can do that and it bends back.
Wow, yeah, look at that. That is impressive.
So
because that is where a lot of them break, with the stiffer eyes that don't move, and they get bumped, and it just gives that slight fracture to the carbon. So but with that kind of an eye, you're not going to have those problems.
The last thing you want, you've gone all the way to the Seychelles, you've got that tarpon in front of you, and you have a broken guide with your favourite rod, nightmare. Yeah. So this will take all the punishment. 2 strippers that do that, and even when you get up into the snakes.
Look at that. Yeah. Brilliant.
So top grade componentry, beautifully put together, and again, designed and crafted non-stop in Colorado. Reel-wise, I've matched this up with just a beautiful looking reel.
That is a very nice.
Isn't it nice? It looks really lovely on here. This is the new Lamson LSM. It's the new Lightspeed M for marine. So this has got a more powerful saltwater drag. The Lamson freshwater reels have that amazing, great conical drag with a great surface area. This is beefed up a bit, more powerful for saltwater. Okay. Obviously, as everybody knows, the saltwater environment gives the most pressure on your tackle. It's the most punishment. It's the toughest. The fish fight the hardest. You've got the tropical sun, etc., etc. Yeah. Your gear needs to be tough, and it needs to be up for it. So a saltwater rod typically is much more reinforced in the butt, and it's just heavier duty all round. But what is important, and I'm going to hand this over to Nick any second, is how the rod feels and how it casts. With a 10 weight, you could be casting it for quite a while. So although this is heavy duty, let's see what you think of it and how it casts. I've matched this up with an amplitude tarpon line. So this is a tropical saltwater line. And although we've got a nice day in Reading, but
it's still pretty chilly, and
it's
the water will be a little bit.
Yeah, it's not tropical. So
No.
you might see a little coil in the line, but that is perfectly normal because this is a tropical line.
Absolutely.
Nick, over to you. I know this is your type of rod, and I'm going to enjoy watching you cast this.
Let's have a look.
And again, I haven't let Nick cast this at all. This is his first go with this sector.
It's a nice light outfit for a 10.
Yeah.
I feel like I could definitely have that in my hand for many hours, searching for fish without getting any fatigue on the arm. Let's give it a slight stretch, just because they're slightly coily on that tropical line, being in the cold weather here. Wow, that wants to go. That really does want to go.
So often you're going to want distance with this. You're going to have a big, heavy, horrible fly. But sometimes it might be
Sometimes
close in.
they're in close. You want to get a close range cast. You need to be able to
Absolutely.
load and pick it up at shorter distances as well.
So again, we'll start with, you know, your 10 yards out, and we'll build it up. Nice.
Oh, I really want to send it though.
Well, you will. You'll get the chance. But let's take it step by step.
Absolutely.
Those loops are incredibly tight. Again, we've got a different coloured line here. It's a sort of ice blue head going into a sort of straw coloured running
Shows
line.
you where that starts and finishes as
Yeah.
well, so you know when you want to launch it.
You know, when you're in that panic situation, the guide is screaming at you. You've got a
as they do.
tarpon at 1 o'clock and it's at 30 yards and the pressure's on.
You want to know where your 30 yards is, and it helps when the line can identify that for you.
Absolutely. So as you
Absolutely.
know where you are with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But again, I keep saying this, but I hope the camera can pick up these loops because that is very nice. Very tight. And we are actually going into the breeze here as well.
Obviously, it's got a bit of light wool on the end with a fly that would turn over a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's going to just hold up in the wind, but what we're looking for is to actually look at the fly line, see how the loops form in that. I'd like to kick a nice big fly over with this though, straight into the wind in the Seychelles.
Yeah.
Be a really nice rod this. It feels it's fast, but it's got nice sensitivity in the tip still.
Well,
Again,
I think
I felt that with a couple of the rods already, and I think that's definitely something Scott's got working for them.
one of the problems with a lot of saltwater rods is they have to be fast. Let's make no mistake, this has to be a performance fast action rod, but if it's too stiff, it becomes very sore on the wrist, very tough on the wrist.
Yeah.
And it becomes hard work very quickly.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit of give, it is a fishing rod at the end of the day. You need a little bit of give to help, not just with your casting, but also playing the fish. Obviously, you're using the butt of the rod if you're playing tarpon here with this, where it's got all the power, but there is a nice little bit of give in these. For a 10 weight, it is user friendly.
I'd actually feel really comfortably back home here as well on pike with this.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a really nice
yeah,
piking
yeah,
rod. So
that is my pike
it's
rod.
not only
Yeah.
for heading off to the tropics. I
Yeah.
think there's a definite place in your armory for back home here
That's
too.
a very good point. Yeah, very good point.
And I know some of the pike rods, they like to have it slightly deeper in the action because
Yeah.
it's turning over a big fly.
Yeah, sure.
But I've never had any issues with any of my faster rods turning over those big flies. And I think with it being a little bit softer in the tip there, it definitely helps, and I think it will help you with those big flies. I'm not having any issues with this rod.
It's
In
nice.
fact,
And the only
really-
thing I would say, there's phenomenal line speed going on there.
it is quick.
Phenomenal.
It's a lovely, lovely rod this. Wow.
Yeah. So we are sort of running out of time slightly. There's 2 more rods I really want to get through. So again, we're on the sector. This is the 8 weight. Out of the range, probably the most popular, would you say?
Yeah.
8 weight for bonefish still these days? People
Bonefish,
generally?
yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, some guys go with a 9 depending on your destination, but I'd
Yeah.
say most of your saltwater destinations for bones, you're looking at an 8.
Yeah.
That's going to be your thoroughbred all-rounder.
Yeah.
You're going to throw that a lot of the day. It's going to be for most of your smaller species in the salt. And yeah, I mean, definitely a bonefish specialist
Yeah.
rod that.
So again, the sector, but 9 foot number 8 this time.
Yeah, again, very light,
Yeah.
easy to throw in the hand. It sits nicely, it's well balanced. Reel sort of balances it out nicely. I think it's got a remix on it at the moment. Maybe not the one you'd take in the salts. Maybe. What do you think of that? The remix?
Yeah, well, this is a rod that I would perhaps use for some on a windy day for the bass.
Yeah.
Perhaps I wouldn't take the actual liquid or remix reel
No.
off somewhere tropical. I'd rather definitely go for the LSM.
Absolutely.
With the drag on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's move back a little bit. I don't want to hook those bushes behind me there. Typically, we don't have a lot of bushes on the flats, but there can be some palm
Mangroves.
trees and mangroves.
I've hooked the mangroves a few times.
Yeah,
if
that's
there's something there, I'll hook it.
Definitely a possibility.
Oh yeah, that yellow line is showing up. That was a rocket there. That was lovely. Into the wind.
Yeah, it's definitely, and they seem to be handling a breeze very easily. I'm not having any difficulty. I think I've thrown the fluff off, but that's okay.
That happens. Probably my dodgy knot, Nick.
Well, always let your guide tie the knots.
Okay then.
Yeah, this is a very nice rod.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one. It's
I
beautiful.
can feel it's in the same family of rod. I can just feel they're cut from the same cloth, but it's that little bit lighter.
Indeed.
Much more user friendly when you're throwing all day for bonefish.
Yeah.
You know, the 10's not typically a rod you're going to be throwing all day, even though that one is incredibly light, and I'd be very happy throwing it all day. This is the one that you're going to be going to.
Exactly.
You're going to have your bass, you're going to have your bonefish. It's
Yeah.
Definitely. You could do a bit of sea trout on it even.
Yeah, there's a lot. You
potentially.
could even sometimes heavy duty stuff off the reservoir bank, just depending on what you're doing. So that is lovely. Loads of line speed. Those loops. Give us one more of those amazing loops, because I think that line's showing up really well. Oh, that is nice. That's phenomenal line speed. Oh my goodness. Right. Okay. I like
jumps
that.
out.
Yes, you're far too good at that. Now this, I need to introduce this one. This is another sector. This is one of my favourite rods. I love this rod to bits. Be careful with it. This is what I call the pocket rocket. This is the Scott sector. Now listen to this. This is 8 foot 4 inches long for a 6-weight line. Now I got this
4 for a 6
because it is a little bit unusual, but my thinking was I fish for the bass quite a lot in North Wales, not far from where I live, and I thought this would be perfect. Pick up and go, a nice short rod. It's often windy. I want to keep my cast low. I don't want to spook the fish when they're there in front of me. So I got this, and well, I absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun to cast. Have a go with it, Nick. See what you think.
Okay, it's not a size I'm used to.
Yeah.
Let's have a go at this thing. Oh, yeah, I really like that. This is a beautiful little toy. This is like a little toy. This is sort of rod I'm gonna go to on, even in the Seychelles. I pick this up when there's smaller bonefish around. I definitely want to have a go with this.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of fun with this rod.
Now, line-wise on here, I've got my favourite all-rounder. This is just a simple Mastery MPX taper. Super smooth, beautiful line. And we've got one of the new Gurus in the lovely olive green colour on there. That's a really lovely reel.
That is a beautiful reel.
And that line just seems to really sing on that rod. It really seems to suit it really nicely. Medium length head on it. But yeah, this is a rod with a difference. Line speed generation is phenomenal.
This is potentially
Into
one of the
wind.
smoothest rods I've cast for a long time.
It's
Matched
nice.
with this line, it's just silky.
I thought you'd like that. But it is also a serious fishing rod. There's lots of scenarios. It is different and it is a lot of fun. Great to cast. But there's a lot of applications. Like I say, this is my go-to for the bass. When I can get at the bass in North Wales and I can put my spinning rod down and I can get at them with the fly, this is the rod I want to have in my hands to do it. You know, and you might only get that amazing shot 3 or 4 times a year because I live quite far away in Cheshire. But when I do, that's the rod I want in my hand to do it with.
Yeah, we've actually got a bit of a breeze on us now, and
Yeah.
obviously fishing coastally, you're always going to have a breeze.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
it's really handling going into the breeze without any issues. It actually feels like I want to cast into a breeze with this rod rather than not.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
So everybody's always looking for the easier option, but this rod just makes fishing the easier option. Wow.
That's a long leader with a big bit of wool on it, just turning over lovely into a bit of a breeze. That's nice. Yeah, I think you've done that before.
Try.
I like
try.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's been fun. I've really enjoyed your reactions to these. I hope everybody watching at home, you've enjoyed that. And you know, we love our rods. There's lots of great fly rods out there. But please, next time you're thinking of a new rod, give a Scott a try. Sportfish Reading is one of the best places where you can come and bring rods onto the water here and cast them and compare them. It's important you get the right rod for you, but it would be great if you'd give the Scott a cast and try it and see how you like it, and I'm sure you will. So thanks very much for listening.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for letting me cast these.
Oh, well, that's great.
This is an absolute toy. I love it.
Glad you like him.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I won't be able to get that off him now. I need to take that home this afternoon.
I'm not sure about that.
Give us it back.
I think I'll keep this one.